Brave to approach me, Headtaker of Moors. Should I kill, slay you?
Queek Headtaker is the legendary and much feared lord of the City of Pillars, great warlord of Clan Moors and personal right claw of Warlord Narwhal, the one and true ruler of the Clan Moors. Queek, like many Skaven before him, was born into this world within the many breeding pits owned by the burly warriors of Clan Moors. Queek's litter was born large and black-furred, a sign that these Skaven would grow up to be true killers within the violent and unstable society of their clan. However, Queek was by far the largest of his lot, and in time he eventually devoured his own brothers, even before he opened his eyes or fully grew out of his fur. Seeing great potential within Queek, Warlord Narwhal personally took him under his wing and trained him extensively to be his new protege. As such, Queek was given the finest luxury that can be afforded by a Skaven of such high status. Warlord Narwhal relies on Queek, dispatching him to break enemy lines, storm defences and bring victory to Clan Moors.
We will destroy. Queek will show the whole world that Queek is the mightiest, the best, and most deadly. We will see what Nordwell says about orders then.
At the same time, Warlord Narwhal continues to hire assassins to slay the Headtaker. All of this non-stop violence keeps Queek on his toes, too busy to scheme for Narwhal's ruling position.
Attack from the shadows.
Queek is an uncommonly bloodthirsty and egotistical warrior whose need to conquer even the most impossible challenges has since earned him an infamy amongst the annals of Skaven history as the legendary Headtaker, the Dwarf Smiter, the greatest warlord to have ever graced the tunnels of Skavendom. Queek's combat skill, coupled with his immense bravery and fearlessness in battle, has granted him many great victories. When Queek goes to battle, he is often accompanied by a retinue of crimson-armoured storm vermin known as the Red Guard. Armoured storm vermin often accompany him. Warlord Queek takes pleasure in personally dispatching enemy leaders.
You challenge me? I am Queek, warm blood in my tail.
In his arrogance, he carries the severed heads of his latest opponents on a trophy rack to remind followers, and Warlord Narwhal, of the fighting prowess of the almighty Warlord Queek, the Headtaker, the Dwarf Smiter. Adorned upon the spikes in Queek's collection are Krug Ironhand, Ikit Slash of Festus Spike, and the hands of Baron Ulbricht Kraus of Avonland. Alongside his infamy as a great warrior, Queek has also earned himself a reputation for madness. Queek has a disturbing affection for his collection of severed heads he keeps upon his trophy rack. Those that would have dared to touch his prized possessions have had their paws cut off by Queek personally. At times, Queek has been seen talking to these heads when nobody else is looking, and at times, even when they are, as if the skulls themselves still retain the souls of those he dispatched in ritual combat, giving the warlord advice on how best to destroy his enemies. Although Queek is a magnificent warrior, the warlord hasn't been readily known for his cunning, if he has any at all. The Headtaker is as thick as he is bloodthirsty, preferring a daring frontal assault rather than to use wiser, more efficient means of attack. In comparison to other Skaven, Queek dislikes scheming and intrigue of any kind. One of Queek's most valued possessions is the Dwarf Gouger, an ancient weapon forged during the times of the Goblin Wars. The War Maul is so powerful that few forms of armour are able to deflect its penetrating blow. The Warlord has perfected a furious windmill style of attack, fighting simultaneously with Dwarf Gouger and Barbed Sword, slashing, puncturing and snapping with his razor-sharp teeth. Queek usually goes to war with a suit of spiked plates encrusted with shards of pure warpstone, protecting Queek whilst also harming those who try to attack him. The majority of Queek's exploits have always been in the tunnels, layers and caves beneath the surface of the world's edge mountains. The Warlord's fame grew exponentially as word of his deeds and conquests spread across the tunnels. His first major exploit was his daring attack against the greenskin stronghold of Black Crag, where he personally slew Big Boss Morgul Blacktooth in combat.
Strike attack, kill! Yes, yes!
Morglum would later become Queek's first trophy, amongst the many that would follow. It is said that the severed orc head whispered instructions on how to find what would become his preferred weapon, the Dwarf Gouger. He then led the attacks that claimed the Night Goblin lairs near the ruins of the Black Crag for the glory of Clan Morse.
More things for my trophies. Challenge me. Dare you.
Having first pick of the spoils, Queek took Dwarf Gouger as his own signature weapon. Thanks to his many deeds and growing infamy, Queek would later be promoted by Lord Nardwell as the new Skaven warlord of the City of Pillars, formerly known as Karak 8 Peaks. Within his power base, underneath the once majestic stronghold of Karak 8 Peaks, Queek had been fighting a never-ending war of attrition against the battle-hardened dwarf armies of King Belagar Ironhammer and the greenskin hordes of Warlord Skarsnik. A powerful warrior in his own right, Queek's deeds have since garnered him the respect of the orcs, the fears of the goblins and the eternal hatred of the dwarfs. In the next episode, we'll be taking a closer look at this bloody war of attrition in the deep, unforgiving tunnels of the world's edge mountains.
Thank you for watching. On this channel, we're putting together fan-made cinematic episodes featuring historical and fantasy battles based on the settings from the Total War series and, of course, good old World of Warhammer. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe and hit the notification button to be the first to watch the next battle.